Royal Highness is a style used to address or refer to some members of royal families. Usually princes or princesses. Monarchs and their consorts are usually styled Majesty. When used as a direct form of address, spoken or written, it takes the form Your Royal Highness. When used as a third-person reference, it is gender-specific and, in plural, Their Royal Highnesses. By the 17th century, all local rulers in Italy adopted the style Highness, which was once used by kings and emperors only. According to Denis Diderot's encyclopedia, the style of Royal Highness was created on the insistence of Archduke Ferdinand of Austria, Cardinal Infante of Spain, a younger son of King Philip III of Spain. The Archduke was traveling through Italy on his way to the Low Countries and, upon meeting Victor Amadeus I, Duke of Savoy, refused to address him as Highness unless the Duke addressed him as Royal Highness. Thus, the first use of the style Royal Highness was recorded in 1633. Gaston, Duke of Orleans, younger son of King Henry IV of France, encountered the style in Brussels and assumed it himself. His children later used the style, considering it their prerogative as grandchildren of France. By the 18th century, Royal Highness had become the prevalent style for members of a continental reigning dynasty whose head bore the hereditary title of king or queen. The titles of family members of non-hereditary rulers were less clear, varying until rendered moot in the 19th century. After dissolution of the Holy Roman Empire in 1806, several of Germany's prince-electors and other now sovereign rulers assumed the title of Grand Duke, and with it, for themselves, their eldest sons and consorts. The style of Royal Highness. The vast majority of African royalty that make use of titles such as Prince, Chief and Sheikh eschew the attendant styles that one would in a European context be accustomed to seeing or hearing in accompaniment. Even in the cases of the aforesaid titles, they usually only exist as courtesies and may or may not have been recognized by a reigning fons honorum. However, some traditional leaders and their family members use royal styles when acting in their official roles as representatives of sovereign or constituent states, distinguishing their status from others who may use or claim traditional titles. For example, the Nigerian traditional rulers of the Yoruba are usually styled using the HRH the X of Y method, even though they are confusingly known as kings in English and not the princes that the HRH style usually suggests. The chiefly appellation, Kabisi, is likewise used as the equivalent of the HRH and other such styles by this class of royalty when rendering their full titles in the Yoruba language. Furthermore, the wives of the king of the Zulu peoples, although all entitled to the title of queen, do not share their husband's style of majesty but instead are each addressed as Royal Highness, with the possible exception of the Great Wife. In contrast to some other European kingdoms, the Kingdom of Denmark reserves the superior style of Royal Highness only to the children of the monarch and the children of the crown prince. Other grandchildren of a Danish monarch enjoy the style of Highness, e.g. Prince Nikolai of Denmark. The title of Archduke or Archduchess of Austria was known to be complemented with the style of Royal Highness for all non-reigning members of the House of Habsburg and later the House of Habsburg-Lorraine. Even though the Habsburgs held the imperial crown of the Holy Roman Empire, it was nominally an elective office that could not be hereditarily transmitted. So the non-reigning family members adopted the style of members of the hereditary royal family of Hungary, Croatia and Bohemia, etc. This changed when Francis I of Austria dissolved the Holy Roman Empire in 1806. As the Archduchy of Austria was elevated to an empire in 1804. The members of the House of Habsburg-Lorraine abandoned the style of Royal Highness in favor of the style of Imperial and Royal Highness to reflect the creation of the Empire of Austria. At the Congress of Vienna in 1815, the former Empress Marie-Louise of France was restored to her imperial and royal style and granted the title of Duchess of Parma, Piacenza and Guastalla, as well as being restored to her premarital title of Archduchess and Imperial Princess of Austria, Royal Princess of Hungary, Croatia and Bohemia. The title of Prince, Princess of the Netherlands, with the accompanying style of HRH is or may be granted by law to the following classes of persons. A separate title of Prince, Princess of Orange-Nassau may be granted by law to members of the Dutch royal house or, as a personal and non-hereditary title to former members of the royal house within 3 months of loss of membership. A prince, princess of Orange-Nassau who is not also a prince, princess of the Netherlands is addressed as His, Her Highness, without the predicate royal. That is, the